Howdy, everyone. Thank you very much for showing up to today. Apologies we weren't here for a couple of weeks. Obviously, we did the move and I was a little bit ill and all that lot. So we just kind of left the live streams to just not be available over the period of time. But obviously, we're back today and hopefully we can kind of answer some interesting questions and give some interesting answers. While I let people join the live streams get involved, because at the moment there's only 6 people in. If you hear any background noise, the cat's trying to escape. We have to basically keep it in for a little bit just to kind of obviously let it get used to the area so then we can let it out and it won't get lost. But yeah, what was I going to say? If any of you guys aren't, I would highly recommend following my Instagram and TikTok, just because, especially on the Instagram, there's more posts that get put up, like written out descriptions of things, and so can sometimes be quite interesting to look at. So I recommend following those. It's just the Mind Over This Matrix URL, same as obviously YouTube, but Instagram and TikTok. If any of you are in need of any of my help whatsoever, by all means, check out down below in the description of this or any of my videos. You'll find the links to my website. And as always, I'm going to highly recommend you join the membership because there's tons of extra videos on there that aren't on YouTube. There's free worksheets, free planners, and there's more stuff coming around as well. I plan to release an ebook very soon on there, so something quite interesting to look out for. But now that more people are joining, just want to say if you could like the video, both the people watching this now and the people that will be watching this post being posted. And yeah, let's get into it. So Kerry says, yo, I missed you guys. Thank you very much. We missed you all as well. Obviously, like I said, took a little break off of them, but hopefully now back to a regular routine with them. H says, hello, Matt and Katie. Howdy.
Hello.
Manifestation is simply want it, feel it, claim it, and in that whole process, work on resistance. I mean, very, very simplified. Yeah. Manifestation is the process of understanding the thoughts, feelings, and actions, or the general mindset of the version of yourself you would want to be, or the version of yourself who has your desire, and then work to step into that. So start changing your thoughts to match those kinds of thoughts. Start changing your feelings to match those kinds of feelings, and same thing with your actions and habits, and essentially take on the persona, for want of a better term, of your desired version. And that in its simplest form is it. And then there, like you say, work on the resistance, do what you can to aid yourself in that process. So if you find yourself really struggling to redirect your focus back to that place, that's when you can work on those limiting beliefs if you need to, or the resistance, or the finding ways past the 3D, or whatever your situation may be in that moment. But whatever can help you be able to stay more consistent, thinking, feeling, and acting from your new self is basically manifestation. And then you say and then you say, Matt, distinction between delusional and being psychotic. I think it's more, this would be probably just be more of a diagnostic kind of thing, you know, because we're delusional all the time, like whether it's through manifestation or not. I mean, anytime you fear an outcome to a degree, you're being delusional, because there's like infinite possibilities something could go. So by assuming an outcome and then fearing it, you're being delusional, because you're already sitting in a state of, oh, this is the only way it's going to go, when there's infinite out there. So anytime you assume something that you don't know to be 100% factual, you're making an assumption, therefore being delusional about it. So we constantly live a delusional life anyway, whether you know about manifestation or not. We're constantly living up here, assuming that person at work hates us, assuming that we're being judged for what we wear or whatever. We're constantly sitting in a state of delusion. Now, where I think it goes to like an element of psychotic is when it's hurting you, hurting someone else, or like I said, there's some kind of diagnostic behind it. However, I'm not a psychiatrist. I am not a medical professional of any kind of degree, so I can't make that distinction factually. That's just my sort of opinion on the distinction. Oh, it's now loads of comments coming in, so I've got to go back up. And then H also says, I have many good days, but on my bad days, my SP manifestation makes me go crazy. You're definitely not alone there. You're definitely not the only one that has that. I have people pretty much every day. I have people who pretty much every day saying, I feel absolutely amazing. I'm so empowered. I'm so this. And then like 2 days later, they'll email me back going, I feel like giving up. I'm crumbling. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. So trust me, you're definitely not the only one that has the bad days hitting them hard. What comes up doesn't necessarily matter. It's where you take it. If you notice that you're on a bad day, do what you can to try and make it as unbad as you possibly can. Obviously, ideally, you want to make it good, but try to make it as non-bad. I don't know what the right word for non-bad would be, but try to make it as
neutral.
Yeah, it's probably a better word. Try to make it as neutral as you possibly can, and just let it be a bad day. You had a bad day, let it go. Instead of being like, oh my God, this is going to ruin everything. I did this, I did that. It's awful. And spiraling over the fact that you had a bad day, just accept it as a bad day and then move forward. JRC says, I made it to a live. Yes. Howdy, JRC. Glad to have you here. And thank you for making the effort to get here.
We made it too.
Well, yeah, we made it too for once. Lewis says, thanks for all your videos. You are very welcome. There's obviously going to be plenty more coming. I do have a video that I'm working on at the moment that I'm really excited about. I'm not going to give too much away because if you watched my video, I think it was 2 weeks ago or last week, I mentioned that I tend to want to show the results as opposed to the journey, but there is a video that I'm working on at the moment. And I think it's going to be very different to what I normally post, but I think it's going to be something really good to watch. And there's so much information being on it. I posted a little story on Instagram, sort of giving people a rough idea. And it's like a Word document of about 4 pages where I've taken notes. And then my actual notes thing on my laptop is like, you just scroll down and there's so many notes and I'm not even halfway through yet. So there's going to be tons of information, and I'm thinking about turning that into a Word document for you guys to have for free on the membership as well. So just something interesting. But as for the videos, there's going to be tons more coming out. And if you want any more, the membership has more that aren't available on YouTube. So I'd recommend you go checking that out. If you're interested, I can put the link to it in the little comment section here. Crimson Music says, howdy. Hope you guys are doing marvelously well. Howdy. I'm doing quite well. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing real good.
Yeah, she's doing all right. I hope you're doing well as well. Crimson Music. Katie Johnson says, congrats on the new house, Katie and Matthew. Thank you very much. We do intend to do a video because a lot of people said that they would really like to see a video on how we sort of obtained this place. That is planned. It's just we haven't had a chance to record anything yet. We're struggling to find with it being the 6 weeks holiday.
Yeah. So as you can imagine, there is no time at all that we are both. I mean, this is probably the first time that we've both been available.
Yeah,
since
it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
Stayed up till like I've gone 11 the other day building the sofa and stuff like that. So
it's just a lovely sofa.
So it's just so difficult to find the time to do that kind of stuff. But it will be out with you guys soon, I promise. JRC says, do you think you can manifest a bad experience away? Well, I think you can, but the way that you would do it would be to manifest a good experience in. A quote that I really like is, let the weak man say, I am strong, not I am not weak. And what this essentially implies is focus on the obtaining what you want as opposed to the removal of what you don't want. Come from that kind of empowered position of look at this amazing life that I live, as opposed to look at me just about avoiding all the things that I don't want to experience. It's kind of like if you were to announce your feelings to someone, for example, and they say to you, well, I don't dislike you. It doesn't sound anywhere like near as good as, yeah, I like you too, for example, is that kind of thing. So you can manifest bad experiences away, but to do so, I think you would be better off by just manifesting the positive experience that is the opposite in to take you out of that. So if you're in debt, instead of being like, oh, I am debt free, for example, start claiming that you have a shit ton of money that you could then use to pay that debt if you really needed to, or however you wanted to go about it. But there's always more power in abundance as opposed to the removal of lack. Lewis says, getting tons of movement from my SP. We're on communication stage now. In my mind, not messing with the middle. Oh, hang on, if I read that wrong. Getting tons of movement from my SP. We are in communication stage now. I'm in my mind, not messing with the middle or doing inspired action, and it's taking all the fun out of the experience. Any tips? Getting tons of movement. Are you basically saying that because you're doing it like all mentally and nothing out there, that it's like boring, and that you're trying to say, like, asking for us to give you ways to make it more fun? Is that what you mean? Can you let me know if that's what you meant, or if I've completely misunderstood that? Because I'm not 100% I've understood your question properly, and obviously hopefully I can give you a good answer. Jane says, hi, I hope you're both well. We are very well. Hope you're well as well. SP responded to a message, but I need him being consistent. How? So consistency is no different to any kind of manifestation, except for you're focusing on the consistency. So this is one thing that a lot of people experience, is they'll manifest a text, they'll get that text, but because they were focusing purely on the idea of a singular text, that's usually about as far as it goes. So if you want consistency, start focusing on being consistent. Start changing your assumptions of them, that they show up for you consistently. Start changing your assumptions of yourself to say that you deserve that consistency. But it all boils down to, are you focusing on the fact that he's not being consistent and therefore creating more of it? Or are you focused, or could you focus on the element of him being consistent, telling yourself that he's consistent, that he shows up for you, that he's constantly in communication with you, and all of those kinds of things. And it's just all about changing your focus. Oh, it's gone down a bit. JM says, what if you feel like circumstances are difficult, as in so many roadblocks in the way? How do you get past this? Well, first off, your subconscious mind doesn't care about roadblocks. It doesn't go, oh, you can't have that because XYZ thing. Your conscious mind is what does that through logically looking at things and analyzing it like the conscious mind does. So the first thing to do, if you can, is to simply just every time you notice one of these roadblocks, redirect yourself back to a time or place when it's already done. Notice the roadblocks, redirect yourself back to that place. That's the first thing. The second thing is obviously working on yourself to build yourself up to a degree that you can move past those roadblocks. So if you feel like you can't have it because you don't feel good enough and that's what's causing these roadblocks, start working on feeling good enough so that you can look at it and go, why was I ever concerned that those things would get in my way? Those are two ways that you could work on it. Oh, sorry, cat made me jump. Those are two ways that I'd recommend working on it. Obviously, the former is one of those sort of like quick fix things. The latter is more of like a long-term thing. You can obviously manifest anything by just removing your attention entirely from the negative things. But if you feel like they're going to keep creeping up, it's probably just best to work on them and then move forward. You know, build like a strong foundation, and then hopefully going forward, anything that you try to manifest will be a lot more effective. Alice Foster says, I made it too. Howdy, Alice. Glad to have you here. JRC says, everyone should see that reel I sent you about not giving up. Absolutely. Can you deal with him, please? Absolutely. Yeah, I was thinking about that. I did actually try to post it on my Instagram story. Sorry, one of the kids came down and I was worried that he was going to start talking and, you know, get in the way of everything. I was trying to put it on my story, but for some reason it wouldn't let me. I don't know if it's because the reel is too long or something. I'm not too familiar with Instagram mechanics, to be honest. But I did want to post it on my story because you're absolutely right. I think a lot of people could do with seeing that reel. For those of you that don't know, which is basically everyone other than me and JRC, that saw the messages. The reel was essentially a speech about how Usain Bolt trained years to run 9 seconds, and then other people will give up if they don't see results within like 4 months or something like that. I can't remember if it gave a time scale or whether if it said that they didn't see results after a certain period of time. But it's essentially just saying that if you want something good, you need to commit, you need to persist, you need to carry on going with it until you get your thing, not until you feel like you should have your thing and then give up if you don't. I haven't really given it justice, but it's a very good reel. And if I can figure out a way to get it onto my story on Instagram, I definitely will, because a lot of people could do with that message. Oh, it skipped. Reed D says, hi both, howdy. I feel overall, I believe my manifestations come into fruition, but struggling with checking on SP. I do feel my mind wandering and checking my WhatsApp, Instagram. Any ideas to stop? Just stop. I know that sounds like an unhelpful answer, but you are in control of what you do. You are in control of your thoughts, your feelings, your actions. If you're struggling to stop yourself from doing something like checking the WhatsApp and stuff like that, then you need to kind of have a little bit of a look and go, okay, why am I not able to discipline myself to not do something like this? I know that it's not helping my manifestation. I know there's the potential that it could trigger me further. Why am I still doing this? What do I gain from this? If he messages me, I'll know that I've got a message because I'll have the notification come up. So why do I keep looking? And the way to stop is honestly to just consider those kinds of things. Like, what is this actually doing for me? And then just stopping, because you have complete total control of yourself. No one is making you check. It's all you. Therefore, if it's all you, you are the thing that can stop yourself from doing so. But again, like I said a second ago, if with the Roblox question, if you find yourself sort of thinking, oh, I should check, go back to a place where there's no need to check. Redirect your focus back to a place where you already have everything that you want. And why would you bother checking? And just keep redirecting back to that, and then have the discipline not to go and potentially trigger yourself or do something that may not even benefit your manifestation to any degree. Use that energy towards something more beneficial for yourself. Tamara says, hi. So when I'm visualizing about my SP, after a few minutes, I have like a whole tragic romance in my head with plot twists and stuff. Right here. Any advice how to stop overcomplicating? Redirection. One of the things that I found about visualization is the biggest struggle is keeping your mind in one place, which makes sense. We're constantly going through the day doing different things, thinking different things, speaking to different people. We're constantly on social medias, just scrolling through, seeing different memes or reels or sort of stories about dumb shit. So your mind is very much wired to be on to the next thing constantly. And if you've got this kind of internal story that you're trying to work to change, your mind will probably end up going to things that more align with that story, which is obviously, as you say, that tragic romance. And the thing that I find with visualization is it's just a constant game of redirection. Get yourself into a more relaxed space that your conscious mind is going to be less active when doing so, but it's going to be that constant redirection to pull yourself back to that story. As soon as you start notice it going into the tragic romance, pull it back, give it the story that you want to experience. As soon as you start noticing your mind going towards what you're having for dinner tomorrow, what you need to get from the shop, or again, the tragic romance, just keep redirecting it back and keep doing this until either A, you feel satisfied with the visualization, or B, you've done it enough consistently for your mind to be kind of more focused on that, or you're relaxed enough not to have your mind going all over the place. But with anything manifestation, I feel like it's a constant game of redirection. H says, hi, Matt. Hi. I screwed up twice. H says, Matt, how can I be hopeful while in no contact for a year, especially when breakup was messy? I know circumstances don't matter. Well, so you're asking me how you can be hopeful while in no contact for a year. And this is one of those things that it's like you don't need hope. You just need to do the work. You don't need to believe in manifestation. You don't need motivation. You don't need hope. All you need is the discipline to continue doing it anyway. You have two choices. You can either let go of it all and move on, or fully commit yourself to it. And regardless of what you see, regardless of how you feel, do it anyway. Because I hear people all the time talking about how some days they just don't feel like it. And it's definitely fine to take a break. If you feel mentally exhausted, by all means, take a break. But taking a break doesn't mean wavering or like giving up or anything like that. Taking a break just means maybe not so much conscious work, but if it comes to mind, you just do what you can to redirect to a positive and then go on with your day. It's kind of sort of lessening the conscious manifestation. But the idea of like wavering or doubting or fearing or any of that kind of stuff in the middle is completely pointless, because your conscious mind, not you specifically, H, but everyone's conscious mind works in the way of I'll believe it when I see it. But the subconscious mind works in believing. Seeing is believing, or believing is seeing. See, I'll believe it. The opposite. I can't work out what I'm trying to say in my head. But your subconscious mind basically works in a way of I'm seeing this image, therefore I'm believing it, and makes it happen. But if you're wavering, if you're doubting, if you're relying on motivation and hope and all those kinds of things, you're showing your subconscious mind, I am not in a position of having. So instead of relying on all of those things, you just need simple discipline to continue doing what you need to do every single day without failure, and the persistence to continue doing it every single day without failure. Because manifestation is a lifestyle. It's one of those things that we can consciously manifest specific things, but the process of becoming a good manifester is understanding yourself, understanding how you operate, understanding what resonates most with you, and continuing to do it. So when you say, how can I be hopeful? The thing that I would highly recommend for you is to drop the need for hope and just continue to persist, continue to do it regardless of how you're feeling. Kind of like the gym. I know that you like to go to the gym. There's probably days where you really don't feel like going, but you still go because you know that you need to reach your goal. It's the same thing here. You may not feel hopeful, but you know that by at least showing your subconscious mind the right story, you don't need hope, you don't need belief, you don't need any of that. You just need consistency. And you say there at the end, I know circumstances don't matter. So if you know circumstances don't matter, that would completely invalidate the fact that the breakup was messy. And therefore, by knowing the circumstances don't matter, you don't need to worry that the breakup was messy. So I can't feed you hope. Unfortunately, I can give you all the pep talks in the world, but as soon as you stop listening to me, or as soon as you go back into your own sort of day-to-day life, you're going to go right back to the way that you were before, because it's you that needs to validate yourself, not me. And I would honestly say to drop hope, drop motivation, and just start focusing on discipline and consistency to do the things that you know is conscious manifesting, and keep going until it comes in. Not the most sort of lovey-dovey answer, but in all honesty, that's the kind of answer that I wish someone had given me when I was sort of earlier on in my journey of manifesting, because I was too busy relying on tarot readings and astrology sign stuff when I was in like the law of attraction area, and I was just giving my power to everything else, saying fix this for me, so to speak. Lewis says, I'm getting tons of movement. So this is the answer to my query earlier. Lewis says, I'm getting tons of movement from my SP and we are communicating now daily. Now I'm scared of messing with the middle of the manifestation by taking inspired action. Full relationship is the goal. Okay. And then there was something about enjoyment earlier on. Let me go back to it. And it's taking all the fun out of the experience. Any tips? Okay. So if you're having inspired action, you're all good. Like if you kind of feel inspired to take an action, you're not second guessing it. It just kind of feels right. More than likely, that is your subconscious mind putting the pieces together for you to get to where you want to be. Because you absolutely can have people coming to you, just like Katie came to me. However, there will be times in your life where your subconscious mind makes you do the work. For example, I applied for the role that I got last year when I was working a 9 to 5. Perfect role for me. I applied. I didn't necessarily I acted on the inspired action to apply to it, so to speak. So not everyone's journey will have their person coming to them, and vice versa. There will be people that have to go to their specific person, or someone's friend might get involved and set them up, or who knows how it works. But if you're feeling genuine inspired action, there's no point getting in the way of it. And if anything, by getting in the way of it, you're just showing that you're in a state of fear, which obviously is not in a state of abundance. So you would be better off following the inspired action with the assumption of this is going great, this is working for me, as opposed to carrying away. And why are we carrying away? We don't have our desire. We're scared of fucking it up. What's that showing our subconscious mind? We don't have our desire. So with the inspired action side of things, if it genuinely feels inspired, and I want you to sit with yourself and think about the times that you mentioned inspired action, actually see if it was genuinely inspired or fear-based, because a lot of people will say that it was inspired, but actually they just wanted to remind their person it existed or something like that. Understand whether it was actually inspired or not. And the next time you experience that same sort of thing, go with it. Enjoy the process. Manifestation is something to be enjoyed. You are trying to take yourself from who you are to who you want to be. Whenever I do my visualizations or affirmations of like money or new clients or growth of the business or even this house, I wasn't doing it in oh my God, my life's so shit, I need to change it. I was doing it more from a place of, this is so cool. Look at what I could experience. That's where the fun is, in my opinion. And then if you leave it up to the universe to bring it to you in the way that it sees fit, I actually did a video on this on the members the other day about chasing the experience. If you focus on experiencing what it is that you want and allow the universe to bring it to you in whatever given way it chooses, in my opinion, it's so much more fun because it could come anywhere. It could be out of nowhere in a way that you couldn't possibly imagine. And that, for me personally, at least, is where the fun of manifestation is. Enjoying the experience of my affirmations or my visuals, as opposed to trying to use them to change something and then letting it come in a fun way or however it desires to come, and then enjoying that. But definitely don't try skipping out on inspired action if it's genuinely inspired action. Luca, apologies if I said that wrong. Self-concept is absolutely my issue. Any tips when self-esteem is so bad, it's not even the thoughts that are my problem. It's like a constant disheartening emotion. If it's emotion, so Dr. Joe Dispenza says something great. And if you guys were involved in the channel about a year and a half ago, I actually wasn't too keen on Dr. Joe, as many of you that were there would probably remember me saying in a live. I wasn't too keen on Dr. Joe, and I also wasn't too keen on Naya. But then over time, my opinion on Naya changed, and obviously I did a collaboration with her, which was quite an interesting turn of events. Same thing happened with Dr. Joe. I wasn't keen on him, but then when I listened to more of his stuff, I actually was like, actually speaks some really interesting things that you can definitely apply to what we're talking here. And the reason why I mention him is because he said something that really stood out to me a little while ago. Well, he said it ages ago, but when I heard it, which was a little while ago, it was thoughts are the language of the mind and emotions are the language of the body. So what that said to me personally with how I navigate through sort of the negatives and stuff like that is, if you're finding that it's a deep feeling within your body, a deep emotion that keeps arising more than a thought, try to work with your body to navigate past it. For example, breath work is a really good way to do so because it calms the body, calms the mind as well. So it's like a double whammy, but it calms the body, slows the heart rates, like slows the slows the heart rate down, deeper into the breathing and all that kind of stuff. It can really calm you down. And it was one of those things that when I heard him say that, I was like, that makes a lot of sense, because there's techniques that I'd used before that were sort of mostly for calming the mind, and it worked for things that were kind of like an anxious kind of up here, like my mind was racing a million miles an hour. But when I was like feeling anxious or feeling fearful, it didn't really do much then. And then when I started to realize that breath work could be used for more of a body calming, it made a big difference. So I recommend you trying, if you're not already, is try to do things that help your body release those feelings. So if you're feeling like really tense and anxious or something like that, do some form of exercise or punch a pillow or something like that. Try breath work, can be a really good way to calm yourself down. But essentially, work with your body to let out these emotions and get yourself to a more neutral headspace. And then you can direct your mind to more positive emotions and feelings and actions that will benefit your body. Also, gratitude is a great way to do this. You can, if you saw my video the other day, I mentioned about how there's obviously a whole process behind it, but in short, by being grateful for things and by applying gratitude, that will trigger things in your body to release dopamine, which is the pleasure chemical. So by calming your body down, or at least getting yourself to a more neutral headspace, you can then choose something more positive, and as a result, help your body feel more positive in the interim and hopefully get you to a better outcome. Breath work is a way that I would highly recommend you try if you aren't already. However, physical exercise is also a really good way to do so as well. A lot of people find that when they sort of pace up and down, just releasing those kinds of that built up tension can be really good for them. But yeah, with self-concept as well, obviously there is the element of working on the self-concept. So that's a way to navigate past the emotions that come up. But when you work on your self-concept, hopefully that will alleviate those things coming up in the end anyway, because you won't have the self-concept issues to make them come up. Reedy says, views on evening meditations or subliminals for manifesting. Any suggestions on good ones to use for manifesting SP, house, etc.? I've been wanting to try and listen to something at night to calm my mind. So views on evening meditation, subliminal. Sorry, do you mind getting me a drink, please?
Yeah,
I should have just got one at the beginning. I went to band yesterday and it was not a good session. After being ill and then going into male vocals, it's not good. So today my throat's a bit dry and Kate was like, do you want a drink before the live? And I was like, nope. And now I regret it. But so views on meditation and subliminals in the evening, 100%. I think doing evening work is great. There are two times when your mind naturally goes into an alpha and then obviously goes even further into a theta brainwave state. And that is not long after you've just woken up and just before you're falling asleep. So I don't know what you mean by evening, whether you mean like 7 p.m. or whether you mean like right as you're falling asleep. I'm going to assume you mean right as you're falling asleep. But that's when your mind goes into the alpha and then furthermore into the theta brainwave state. And that's a really good time to impress your subconscious mind. So utilizing any kind of meditations or subliminals or affirmations tape or anything like that, visualizations, affirmations of your own, really beneficial. And I recommend you do so. For me, I try to remember to do affirmations as I'm falling asleep. Admittedly, I don't do it every night because sometimes I'm just so tired I conk out. But I do try to do something because it's one of the best times to, thank you very much. Yeah. It's one of the best times to naturally make use of it. Obviously, you can put yourself in those states anyway, but like through techniques, but it's a good way to be in that state naturally. So yes, I do recommend you do those things. As for any good subliminals or meditations for moving house and stuff like that, I don't have any off the top of my head. For SP, there was the subliminal app that I used to advocate, which is called Powerful Subliminals. If you want to check it out, by all means, check it out. They've got some great subliminals on there. But other than that, I don't really use any other subliminal source myself, so I can't say whether there are any others. But sort of any kind of meditation that allows you to focus on whatever it is that you want to focus on, as opposed to like specifically for a house where they just say, you know, what's that desire that you have and I'll bring it to mind. You can just do obviously the pieces yourself and they could be really useful. But I can't say that I have any examples that I could give you like links to videos because I don't personally watch them myself. I use the subliminal app, but that's about it. Katie Johnson says, your experience with clients and or people or just people you know, is it normal before the SP returns that all of a sudden you have romantic options suddenly become plentiful from others towards you? Yeah, a lot of people experience this, not just clients, but I see it on like YouTube comment sections all the time as well. When you start to improve yourself, when you start to focus on the wholeness of being in a relationship, when you're manifesting a specific person, your subconscious mind will start to feed you things that align with them. Now, if you're feeling, you know, wholeness, love, and all that lot because you're focusing on a specific person, your subconscious mind's hearing two things. We're in a relationship, we've got this wholeness, this love, this joy, this yada, yada, yada. And then simultaneously, we've got this person. It has two different stories that it can feed you, which is why often people will find that they'll have people showing up from their past or new people showing up. And then with that persistence, they then end up getting their person. Most often, the reason being is they're still flushing out those sort of ideas of, oh, I need to get past this so that my person will come back to me. And while they're still working through those final sort of things, their subconscious mind is still giving them more of what they are, which is that love, that wholeness and such things. So it is quite a common experience for people to have either exes come back that aren't the main ex, but like previous ones, or new people showing up in their life not long before their person comes back, because you're now sort of entering that state of love, fulfillment, wholeness of relationship. And it happens a lot as well. It's definitely not like a one-off. It does. Oh, it skipped. Definitely does happen quite a lot. Hot Flaming Cheeto says, if I recently broke up, shall I first heal myself or shall I use? Yeah. So I think healing yourself or any kind of self-work is something you should be doing at all times, not just after breakups, but like before getting in relationships, after losing relationships, if you just want to be single for a couple of years. It's always good to work on yourself. So definitely, I think it would be worth healing yourself. However, it doesn't mean you have to put it entirely to the wayside. If you want to get your person back, you can heal yourself while focusing on them. But in this instance, I would probably recommend focusing more on healing yourself and kind of a little bit less and sort of fit in your specific person work whenever you can, as opposed to focusing on your specific person and fitting in your healing work whenever you can. But yes, I probably would recommend it would be good for you to work on healing yourself, work on sort of improving yourself in any ways that you need to, and then, take it as you need to go forward from there.
What was the giggle? Was it the name?
It was a name, yeah, Hot Flaming Cheetos. It was reminding me of like a year ago when there were just constant memes about sort of people eating Hot Flaming Cheetos, and it was just made me chuckle.
We always talk about meme trends that I've like never seen before in my life.
To be fair, we have a completely different social media though. Yours is more like true crime stories, and mine's just like dumb stuff.
I think it's just like girl and boy social media, pretty much like the standard.
Yeah.
Tier
or Terry, apologies if I said that wrong. Hi, Matt. Thanks from the bottom of my heart for all that you do for us. Really happy of being here. Well, thank you very much for the kind words and the support. It does mean a lot that all of you guys consistently show up and like the videos and everything. So thank you so much for even choosing to be here. Mm-hmm. And I hope I did say your name right. If I didn't, let me know down below how to say it and I'll remember it for next time. Rev T says, howdy, guys. Howdy, Rev T. Glad to have you here. JM says, when you say do the work, what does that entail? Manifest. It means work on yourself where you need to. If you notice that there's these consistent patterns coming up in your life that you need to work through, begin to work through them. If you're having a spiral, do the work to feel those things through and then let them go, or bring yourself out that spiral and then focus on your end result. It means as you go through the day, if you notice a thought that doesn't align with your end result, it doesn't mean to let it do its thing and, turn you into going down this rabbit hole. It means catch it. If you need to work through any residual feelings, do so. If not, flip it onto something more positive and then go forward. Do the work means we know that who we are now has a different set of thoughts, feelings, and actions to who we want to be. So doing the work means to try to fit that character right now by thinking, feeling, and acting in alignment with that version of yourself, and try to take on that persona. Essentially, that's what doing the work means. Too many people say like, I want to manifest and I'm doing all the manifestation work, but when you look deeper into it, they let themselves spiral. They're still checking the other person's social media. They're still doing all of these awful things that aren't benefiting their manifestation. And it's those people or those instances where I'd say that's not doing the work. That's not thinking, feeling, and acting from your end result. And considering you are the only person in control of your thoughts, feelings, and actions, yes, people can do things that could hurt you, but how you react to them is entirely up to you. So basing on that, doing the work means constantly being aware and shifting where you need to. Rev T says, well, I think I messed up. Last night I was missing SP like crazy and ended up texting. Today we talked a bit, but not in a way I expected. What should I do? Nothing. Continue going on with your end result. If you want this to go to a certain way, take on that mindset of it already being that way. Take on the feelings of it already being that way. If there are sort of actions that you can take that wouldn't be pushing the 3D, take them and let this situation go. Too many people will make a mistake or they'll do something that's probably less than desirable, and then they'll start panicking like crazy that they've done it. You would be better off going, dickhead, never do that again, and moving forward than sitting there beating yourself up over it, wonder what to do, how to fix it, and yada, yada, yada. Instead, be aware that you made a mistake. Try to remind yourself to not do it again in the future, but get back on your end result. Your subconscious mind isn't going to sit there and go, well, you messed it up that one time, so I'm not going to give it to you. It will go, okay, we're saying we've got it now. Despite the fact that we messed it up, that must mean we've got it now. And then it will start to bring it to you. So if you do feel like you've made a mistake, if you've pushed the 3D, if you've spiraled, if you've done any of this stuff, let it go. you know, if you do have residual feelings that you need to work through them by all means, but then let it go. Once it's let go, don't bring it back up. Don't sit there beating yourself up about it. Don't sit there getting on your own back about it, because it's not going to benefit you. It's just feeding your subconscious mind the wrong story. Let it all go. Continue in the end result. Ken Clark says, hey guys, howdy. Glad to have you here. Solani says, hi Matt, hi Katie, or hi Matt and Katie, howdy.
Hi.
I hope you guys are doing well, very well. Hope you're doing well also. Could you please tell how to identify whether an affirmation is working for you or not? When can one switch to different affirmations? Well, you can switch to different affirmations whenever you want. You, like, for example, I have quite a few in my sort of arsenal, but I generally pick a handful of maybe 3 to 5 whenever I do affirmations. So you can definitely have a whole bunch. And what I recommend you do is just go with what resonates for you in that moment. So if you're sort of going, just for example, relationship, marriage, communication, and a house together, and you only want to do 3 at a time, just do any one of those 3 when you feel like it, and then the next time switch them up if you want to. You don't have to stick to the same affirmations constantly, because in your end result, you would be having different thoughts all the time that would all still detail that you're in a relationship. You'd be thinking, oh, I'm going home later, I wonder what person and I are having for dinner. You would be thinking about what you guys are going to do in the evening. You'd be waking up next time. You'd be constantly doing all of these different things in your end result. So there's no reason why your affirmations can't be, you know, varied and of different topics of the relationship. So have as many as you want, switch them up whenever you want. As for how to sort of know when they're working for you, the biggest tell, I suppose, is if they feel good to say, because obviously if it's feeling good, then it means it's at least hitting some kind of internal story and that makes you feel good. And B, if you begin to feel shifts. Now, I don't mean day by day, because often it's not like a process like that where it's like, oh, now I feel different. But if you can kind of look back over maybe a week ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and sort of see how you feel, that will kind of give you a good indication whether or not they're working. But generally, if you're doing the right things, i.e. thinking, feeling, and acting from the end, and when I say thinking, that could be visualizations, general thinking, affirmation scripts, anything that directs your focus, essentially. If you are being consistent with doing that from the end result, then it's working at least behind the scenes. You may not necessarily have had any direct impact in front of you, but the more that you're persisting in the end result, no matter how you choose to do so, the more you are creating that outcome for yourself, and therefore it is working. Hopefully that helps. Amy says, hi, I have a question on behalf of my friend. She saw her SP enjoying his birthday with 3P, and now she is upset and broken that nothing can be okay now. How to tackle such situations? Okay. The first thing that I would recommend, work through the feelings, you know, work through the upsets, the hurt, and all of those kinds of things. You will never create anything positive when you're sitting in a negative state. Pretty much 100% of the time, if you're in a down state, you're going to basically taint your thoughts. So for want of a better term. So the first thing that I would recommend is to sit with those feelings, allow them to pass out, not like a dwelling on it as in like, oh, woe is me, he's done this, he's done that, yada yada yada. What I mean is just like, okay, I feel tense, I feel anxious. What can I do to get myself to a more neutral playing field? What does it mean for me to not be tense, and how can I get there? What does it mean for me to no longer be anxious, and how can I get there? And actually working through these feelings. Once they're in a more neutral headspace, similar to what I said a second ago about the person who said they felt like they messed up their situation, try to let it go. It's an event that sucks. Sure, you've worked through the feelings. Try to let the event go. If it's flaring up any kind of internal self-concept story or internal story about him, like, oh, this just proves that he's only wanted me for one thing, and that's something that your friend has assumed to be true, use that as evidence of where there still needs to maybe be some shifts in your focus. Okay, I still have this view that he only wants me for one thing, and that's why he's off with this other person. Let me just work to change how I view him. Oh, this shows me that I'm not good enough, because if I was, he would have picked me. Let me continue to just work on my self-worth. Let me build that up. So the first thing, work through the feelings. The second thing, let go of the actual situation itself. The third thing, work on yourself that is being flared up by said situation. I suppose you probably need to swap those around, actually. Work on yourself first, and then once you feel worked on, let that situation go. And then the fourth thing, go back to your end result. Your end result will always be the most powerful place to be if you want to create any kind of change. Obviously, yes, you will need to work on yourself so that you can retain that change. But if you want anything to change, you need to be residing in some kind of end result of either you being different, or the situation being different, or your focus being placed on something more positive and beneficial. So those are the kind of 4 steps. The middle 2, you can obviously decide how, or your friend can decide how they want to do it, whether they want to let go of the situation first and then work on themselves, or whether they want to work on themselves and let go of the situation. Either way, don't reside in that situation, because it just will never benefit anyone. For someone to sit there and go, oh, well, this just proves that, you're just telling your subconscious mind that you don't have it. So hopefully that helps. Bristy, apologies if I said that wrong. Hey Matt, I wanted to ask you if my SP wanted to communicate. Hey Matt, I wanted to ask you if my SP wanted to communicate with me as well as he don't want a relationship. We are in long distance relationship. What I need to do. Hey Matt, I wanted to ask you if my SP wanted to communicate me as well as he don't want a relationship. We are in long distance. I'm not entirely sure what the whole communicate section, what you mean, whether you're saying he's communicating to you that he doesn't want a relationship, but you mentioned that you're in a long distance relationship. Okay, basically, can you clarify one thing? What do you mean, first off, because I'm a little bit confused on the comment, and is it that you want to be a close relationship as opposed to a long distance relationship, or do you just want the relationship to be better, but you don't mind if it stays long distance? If you could answer those two, I'll be happy to give you an answer. Liesel says hello, and then they also say, I have a question on having boundaries while manifesting a specific person. Is that not messing with the middle? So boundaries is a really funny one, and I really like this question. I wish more people would consider boundaries, actually. Yes, you could say that putting boundaries in the 3D is messing with the middle and or pushing the 3D. For example, I don't like it when you do that. Don't do it again. If you do, I'm leaving. Just as an example. So I understand that as a concept, it completely contradicts the idea of living in the end and such. However, I think boundaries are actually a good thing to do. Now, the reason being is because when you put a boundary in place, what essentially are you saying? I mean more to me than you do if you continue this behavior. Now, what that's doing, or at least what it aids in doing, is it's aiding on building your self-worth. It's aiding you in saying, look, I may have a lot of love for you, but I'm not going to accept insert whatever problem any longer. If I need to, I will walk away, so to speak. And by doing that, you're having more faith in yourself, more love for yourself than you are for the other person. Therefore, pedestalizing yourself, therefore showing your subconscious mind, therefore showing your subconscious mind that you deserve better than that. And when your subconscious mind has a story, it starts pushing it out. This is often why you will find that people that do set boundaries, despite the fact that it could be considered pushing a 3D, tend to actually get a lot more love, a lot more respect, and a lot more sort of admiration from other people. It's because their subconscious mind is going, okay, well, we know that we deserve more than this kind of shitty behavior. We're not going to feed them that shitty behavior because we're not sitting in a place where we're going to accept it any longer. And therefore, they experience more reality where they don't have to accept anything because it doesn't need to be shown up for them, because that's not in alignment with their self-worth. So because of that, and hopefully I made that make sense to you, I think that setting boundaries is actually a really good thing. Yes, it may be considered messing with the middle to a degree, but I actually think it would be much more beneficial for your end result and your self-worth and your journey in the interim to set boundaries and say, I will not accept this, than if you let yourself be walked over because you're trying to ignore it so that you can focus on your end result. That's my opinion. That's my experiences as well. I find that sort of since setting boundaries a lot more regularly, things tend to go better, not just with like relationships, but also in terms of clients as well. At the beginning of my time as a coach, I was very, very lenient with a lot of things. And since kind of just sort of saying, look, as much as I'd like to, I don't do these kinds of things anymore, people seem to respect it more. So yeah, that's my kind of view on it.
I was just going to say, in relation to literally us two getting back together, had we had set boundaries in the beginning, when, like, you know, at the start of the process, I think that we may have rekindled later, potentially, but we would have rekindled better instantly, if that makes sense. So, for example, we, you know, got back together, but we didn't like have this great, fantastic, amazing relationship that people now say, oh, you two are great together, you know, like that's what we get now. But had we have both set boundaries right at the very beginning and, you know, like worked out exactly what we wanted and very, you know, focused a lot more on that, we would have rekindled as we are now. And that would have been an instant better step, because when we first rekindled and we first got back together, it was very much still I don't think toxic is the right word, but like
it's just rocky.
It wasn't quite there. It wasn't quite working. It wasn't quite the best relationship it could be, and it definitely wasn't what we are now. So I think although people fear by setting boundaries you're going to prolong the separation, or you're going to, push away your thing coming in, and it might take longer, I think in the long term, overall it takes a lot shorter. Like, it will take a lot less time to rekindle with a perfect relationship than to rekindle and then try and add the boundaries in afterwards, and then go through the rocky of the boundaries, then go through the of like the I don't know if I like that boundary, I don't know if I like this boundary, sort of like, that kind of leveling out period. I think overall the whole experience would be a lot quicker, although it may seem that the rekindle or the actual get together seems further away.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be that way either. That was more just a case of an example kind of thing. But by setting boundaries, you're feeding your subconscious mind a better story, which means that it could actually aid you in your manifestation even better, so to speak. So that was more of like a theoretical thing, but Katie's absolutely right. It would be better to set boundaries and to sort of have that respect for yourself, and potentially make it take longer for your manifestation to come in because you're pushing the 3D, over not setting boundaries, potentially getting it sooner because you've kind of allowed it to happen, but then getting still trampled on over during the process. So that's my opinion on it. Take of that what you will. Obviously, you don't have to resonate with me, but hopefully it does. And yeah, go forward with that. Lewis says, thanks for the advice. I also have a nice job where I can use my AirPods all day. So I hope my affirmations. Oh, so I loop my affirmations all day and night when I sleep. Your thoughts on recording affirmations all the time? I think that it's good. I think if you enjoy it, then use it, so to speak. Like I used to use affirmation tapes quite a lot, and I did definitely see progress with them, but I like my music. I even did a video about this actually, like way back when I first started my channel, basically saying what you're sacrificing a one song to just get some extra affirmations in that could potentially, like, by spending like 3 to 5 minutes doing it, that could potentially like make a whole difference for you. And now I'm actually the other way around. I'm like, well, I'm happy enough where I am right now. I'm gonna listen to that song. But no, I do think having the affirmations on during the day and stuff is really beneficial for sure. If you enjoy it, obviously. If you're feeling it to be a bit of a drudge, then you don't have to, but for sure. MK says hello to you too. I get vivid dreams about SP and always happy ones where we are in a couple. Feels real and people congratulate us. Are dreams only a premonition if I assume so? So I think so many factors go into dreams that it's a lot more difficult to say, yes, that's an outward sign of it coming in than something happening in your 3D reality. Now, because of that, and because I'm also not a dream expert and I'm not a psychiatrist, I generally give people the advice of, if it's a bad dream, let it go. It's just a dream. If it's a good dream, use that to your advantage to tell your subconscious mind that this is proof that it's on its way, or proof that you have it, or something like that. Because your subconscious mind doesn't know. This is one of the things that people constantly point out contradictions in LOA of like, oh, well, if I'm doing this, surely this would mean this. And it's like, yeah, consciously, yes, logically, but your subconscious mind doesn't work like that. Your subconscious mind at any given moment will take whatever your subconscious mind is feeding it and begin to weave the webs of that reality. Therefore, it does not matter what you are saying, as long as you are saying something that benefits you. Now, if that means telling yourself that dream means you've got it, it's gonna benefit you. So what I'd recommend, just because I don't genuinely know what dreams actually mean and how much of it we can take as proof of our manifestation, I just recommend people to just do the best with it that they can. I.e., oh, that means nothing because it's a bad dream and that's nothing more than a dream. But oh, that actually proves my manifestation is here because it's a good dream. That's what I would recommend you take from it. If anybody here is a dream expert, by all means, please educate me. But that's just my view on it. That's either Leapy. Leapy says, just yesterday, once I started accepting gratitude and feeling good, boom, one night stand popped up 2 years later. Yeah, gratitude is amazing. I don't know if you're saying this in relation to the video that I posted the other day, or whether this is just a separate comment. But yeah, I posted a video the other day basically saying that gratitude can make all the difference, and it really can, as this person has experienced here. So definitely apply gratitude to your lives. And I keep wanting to say Leah Pia.
Well, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
That's what I would have said, I think.
Or Leah P.
Leah P.
Or Leapia. correct us. Anytime I get a name wrong, it's just because I'm an idiot and can't read, not because I'm being disrespectful. But if I ever get a name wrong, just correct me down below. I'm going to go with Leah P just because it makes more sense for the way that it's spelled. Congratulations. Hopefully it's a good thing that they popped up. I'm not sure how you want to take it, but gratitude is definitely a good thing to make use of. Reedy says, thanks for all the advice, Matt. You are amazing. You're very welcome. And thank you very much for the kind words. Juliana says, hi, you too. Howdy, howdy.
Yeah.
Do you think that there is any significance what you do if you are convinced in your reality? For example, I blocked my SP just because I thought too much about him connecting me. Do you think that there is any significance what you do if you are convinced in your reality? For example, I blocked my SP just because I thought too much about him connecting me. I'm not sure I understand what you mean there. What I think you mean is that, like, if you do something in a 3D, does it really matter compared to if your mind is in the right place? I'm going to answer it based on that. If that's not the case, just comment down below and obviously I can get around to it. But if that is what you mean, I don't think so. Now, yes, obviously I don't think that it's good to push the 3D or do anything negative. But what I do think is a good idea, similarly to the boundaries thing, is if it's something that can benefit your end result in terms of getting your mind in the right place, I think it's a good thing to do. If you find yourself constantly checking WhatsApp, for example, to see if they're online, and you know that that's putting you in a space of, I don't have it, I need to check, I'm panicky, I'm anxious, and yada, 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 I would genuinely, in that instance, say that it would actually be better to take the 3D push of blocking them, but then from there, allowing you to dwell in the end much more consistently than avoiding the 3D push of blocking them, but then constantly looking on their profile anyway. In those kind of instances, it's kind of like a lose the battle, win the war kind of situation. And I would recommend doing it. If it can benefit your end result, whether it's blocking them, not going for lunch with them, or whatever, because it allows you the mental space to do what you need to do, I would recommend you do it. If that's not what you meant, by all means, let me know.
Oh, that is what they meant. They put lower down.
Oh, okay, cool. Amy says, love the Funko Pops in the background. Thank you very much. We have a fair few different themes.
I was going to say, can you turn the camera? Ooh.
So we've got over there, we've got a couple of Dragon Ball ones. We've got some Pokemon ones. We've got a couple of It ones. Well, one of them's fallen over. Yeah, we got Conchu from Moon Knight. And then
the guy next to him that's fallen over.
Yeah.
That's, what's his name?
I can't remember.
The villain.
Yeah, and then we've got the Predators from Alien vs. Predator, or just the Predator franchise, depending on what you know from. Up there, we've got a bunch of different Venom variations, because I absolutely love the symbiotes. I don't really like Spider-Man, but I like the symbiotes. Over there, we've got
a rather plain shelf.
Yeah.
As of right now.
So we've got a couple of Yu-Gi-Oh ones. Can't figure out where my finger needs to go. There.
11 with her ego.
11, and then we've got a couple of aliens from obviously either Alien or AVP, depending on what you know. And then over there, we've got a bunch of Nightmare Before Christmas one, Coraline, Corpse Bride, and at the top, there's a whole bunch of horrors. So we've got like Hannibal Lecter, Freddy Krueger, Annabelle, Annabelle there, Tiffany, Jason, and then down in the bottom left, which is one of my favorites, there is the Big Daddy from BioShock, which is a game for those of you that don't know, and I think he's a cool character. And there's a bit of history behind that Funko Pop, but that's for a different time period. But yeah, so we obviously, the reason why there's some of that empty is obviously due to themes, but we do plan on filling them out a whole lot more. So thanks. Glad for pointing them out. Lewis says, one last comment. I had a tarot reading and it said that manifestation is complete, and that gave me huge confidence. Oh, shit. Sorry, YouTube jumped. I got to go find where I was. Huge confidence to live from the end, and it helps me create the full assumption that I live it. Good. Similarly to the dreams, I think tarot readings are either something that you can learn from or use as positivity. I don't think that you should ever take a tarot reading that's negative as the end all be all. Learn from it. It shows where your dominant state is, where your energies are. Move forward. Obviously, Katie would be better equipped to speak about this than me, but it's pretty much the case, right? It's just current energies.
Yeah, pretty
and you
much.
just...
Like, it is basically to be used as a guideline, not as the definite. I never think you should use, especially all the ones that are like crowd readings, because that's just your 3D reflecting what you're thinking. So when you see like a crowd reading, yeah, it might be aligned with what's going on with you, but you shouldn't say, oh, great, that is my result. That is what I'm getting from life. And that's that, and give up there. But yeah, you should definitely just be like, this is showing me that I'm either on the right path, on the wrong path, or somewhere where I don't know and I need to sort that out, sort of thing. I don't think it should be like right, the tarot card says that I'm going to get a cat, so I need to go and get a cat. Like, it should be, do I want to get a cat? No, let's change that. I don't know, that was a bad example. It's because there's a cat right there. She's hiding right behind the sofa. She looks so cute. Can you see? Oh, look at that face. But yeah, so yeah, she's squished now. But yeah, I think that
yeah.
sorry.
Brishty says, sorry, actually, we're in a long distance relationship and I want marriage in the future, but for now, want a committed relationship. But he doesn't want that now and started communicated with me after breakup. He's very emotionally unavailable. Sometimes I react. How to handle the situation and what? Sorry, I need to focus on commit. Oh, what story? Commit relationship or marriage. So what I recommend when people are confused about relationship or marriage, I always say that the best thing for you to focus on is what you would like to wake up in tomorrow. So if you were to wake up literally tomorrow in your end result, would you want to be married to this person tomorrow? If the answer is no, but you know you want to be married to them at some point in the future, I recommend just going for the end result of relationship. Because obviously it's just you want to live in the end of what you desire to be true. And if you wouldn't feel comfortable living in a marriage right now, then why bother doing it? So ask yourself that question and then go with whatever you would happy to wake up in tomorrow. If it's relationship. If it's marriage, go for marriage. As for like his emotional unavailability and stuff like that, obviously that's where what you're assuming to be true about him. So if you change your assumptions, as in he's open and ready to be in this loving committed relationship with me and such things as that, that will begin to shift your assumption about him to being open and ready to be in this relationship with you. As for the long distance and stuff like that, they're all just blockages that are in your way from a 3D conscious standpoint. That's just because your awareness has put them in place now, but your awareness can quite easily rip them out. And to do that, you want to focus on having what it is that you want. So I recommend obviously figuring out whether you want marriage or relationship. Start focusing on that. Allow your mind to change what you assume to be true about him. Obviously, understand what you wish to be true about him, and then start to place your awareness on that. And let whatever's going on in the 3D reality in front of you, for example, the long distance relationship, let that simply fall away. When it comes up, redirect your focus back to it. When you start to react, practice the breath work that I mentioned earlier in one of the other comments. Get yourself to a more neutral headspace and then redirect back to the relationship or marriage and just essentially rinse and repeat. Natty J says, hi, howdy, Natty J. Glad to have you here.
Hello.
Liesel says, love it. I think more of this should be discussed of having healthy boundaries because I was a real pushover and I felt so much better saying it out loud. I don't stand for it. Absolutely. It's one of those things. And I need to change my kind of view on this kind of stuff. But I know I do, but it's just one of the things that I can't be bothered to do. But the thing that I find with the manifestation community is that the stuff that really, really matters is very difficult to get people to stick around and watch. I've done videos before that I thought like should have so many more views than they do, but because I obviously am like, oh yeah, but it's not a specific person, it's not like a Sammy Ingram, just affirm this is your reality, just get it kind of situation. It actually goes into depth with stuff where people don't want to listen to that. It's not done very well, which is obviously I know is me placing my awareness on that. But I do think that my current state of consciousness at the moment is that of the manifestation community don't want to hear what's actually genuinely beneficial. They just want to hear the quick fix. They want that like fucking crypto Dogecoin of the manifestation realm to come into play and just give them their desire 10 seconds from now. But yes, healthy boundaries, I think, is a very key factor to life in general, you know. MK says, thank you. You're very welcome. Giuliano says, yes. Let me just double check what Giuliano says. Oh, is that in relation? Yeah, cool. The question, yeah. Lucas says, regarding boundaries, if the reason SP doesn't contact is because of self-esteem and being needy, I'm not hoping he comes back in with good contact and I'm a better version too. So not put boundaries because I have part caused the issue and not say, well, I'm not accepting the keep ghosting. He is always all in when he is talking to me. Oh, and you corrected a bit under that. I am hoping he comes back in. Oh, okay, because, sorry, you put a correction and I was trying to read it. Regarding boundaries, if the reason SP doesn't contact is because of self-esteem and being needy, I am hoping he comes back in with good contact and I am a better version too. So not put the boundary because I have part caused the issue and not say, well, I'm not accepting the keep ghosting. He is always all in when he is talking to me. If I'm understanding that the way that you mean it to do me, if I'm understanding that the way that you're meaning for it to come across, then if that's what you want to do, not place the boundary, but just kind of keep your focus in the end result of having that consistent communication and have him all in with you, then by all means do that. Focus on improving yourself because you mentioned self-esteem issues. focus on improving yourself, focus on changing how you assume him to be, and just focus on the end result coming into play. Accept that you may have had a part to play in it, let it all go, and when he comes in, he'll come in as good as he possibly can. Hopefully I've understood what you meant there, though. Karen says, hi, Katie and Matt. Howdy.
Hello.
Oh, it jumped. I was napping and I heard a voice telling me that my SP loves me along with a good memory of him and I interacting. Does this mean my affirmations are working? It was motivating. Yeah, if you are finding that your mind naturally goes to something, or from an unconscious standpoint goes to something more positive, that's definitely a good sign that it's picking up something positive, at least. Obviously, how much of the story I wouldn't be able to tell you. That would be up for the individual experiencing it to make known. But yes, if your mind is naturally going to something more positive, then that's got to be a good sign that it's working in your favor. Okay, so Leah Pia. So it's Leah. Oh, it is Leah Pia. Oh, sweet. Okay, cool. Thank you very much for correcting us. JM says, I really like the boundary cues too. When you decide to walk away from something that isn't serving you, does SP eventually feel this and respect you enough to come back, or becomes offended? Well, like I say, your reality is based on your awareness. It actually doesn't matter what your specific person feels in regards to any kind of situation. It matters what your subconscious mind takes in. So the 3D version of your SP that you're experiencing right now could be the most butthurt person in the world if you decide to walk away. But if you then start changing your assumptions to think, I'm actually deserving of better, living in the end of receiving better, you will receive better regardless of how butthurt that old version of him was. So more often than not, based on how this plays out, you will find that they'll gain the respect for you. I put quotations because obviously we know it's your subconscious mind feeding that story, but they'll gain the respect for you and then come back more often than not, just because obviously that's the story. But if you're setting the boundaries, but then still assuming them to be an awful person or have no respect for you and stuff like that, then that's still where you're placing your focus. So it does take that element of setting boundaries for myself, walking away if I need to, but at least changing my awareness of him and this relationship to something more positive, so it can all come together in the way that you want.
I think like a good one overall is to just, know inside and tell yourself and keep reminding yourself that everybody respects your boundaries. Because I think a lot of people have this assumption that your mum's going to respect your boundaries because you've asked her to, sort of thing, and like so and so will respect that boundary but not this one. And like you have these assumptions of these people, like everybody in your life, and when you go to set a boundary and say, right, that's it, I'm no longer going to drive everybody everywhere every time they ask me to, you go, oh, but so and so is going to hate that, and this person's going to hate that. And this, I think a good thing to do for you and like as a whole, and speaking from experience of trying to be a people pleaser and then trying to like switch it off, sort of thing, is to know in your heart that everybody loves you enough to respect your boundaries. And I think that's just a big easy one to cover everybody in your life. And it means that when you do get round to setting any kind of boundaries, the people around you aren't gonna go, oh, do you know what, fuck that, and off they go, sort of thing. They will respect your boundaries. I think it's super important to extend it to everyone.
Absolutely. I'm just going to answer the last ones that are currently on the screen, and then we'll obviously have to head off. Jay says, hey there, sweet wallpaper. Thank you very much. It's actually from the people that used to live here. We did a house swap essentially, so it's not our wallpaper, but
we like it.
We do like it, although there is holes from where they had stuff up.
So yeah, we'll probably have to redecorate at some point. Probably not anytime soon though, because moving and everything like that is, we just want to relax for a bit now.
Yeah.
Like that took a long time. But overall, it's not a bad wallpaper.
Yeah, it does the trick. It does the trick. But thank you very much for the kind words. Liesel says, I'm going to be one of your success stories soon. I practice all of your work. Well, I'm glad to hear it. Thank you very much for obviously putting what I talked about into practice. But I also look forward to you being a success story. And yeah, we'll post it on the channel if you're happy for that, for other people to have motivation from. Bristy says, I know for some years distance can stay between us, so I wanted a relationship now. How to be in a long distance relationship and act and feel in a relationship. So it doesn't necessarily have to be like act and feel to a degree of like, oh, he's right here, blah, blah, blah. But what I mean is like, what would you do if you were in a relationship that you could do now? For example, if you want to be having a house together, anytime you go out shopping, look at ornaments that you could get for your new house together, or look up date ideas that you could do together. Because remember, you're, living with each other, or you're in a relationship in your close city or something like that. And therefore you can go on dates. It means to kind of like consider these things. What kind of like actions could you take right now that you would take then, essentially, and do what you can. The actions is one of those things that I think is probably the least important out of all of it, because it's more of like a placebo-y kind of thing, in my opinion. It's like faking it till you make it kind of thing. But for the feeling, it's like if you were in a relationship, you would feel wholeness, love, joy. What can you do now to help yourself feel wholeness, love, and joy? What kind of things can you do that will make you feel like you are complete while you wait for that relationship to come into fruition to then complete you? Because we get what we are, not what we want, which is obviously why we then try to change our thoughts, feelings, and actions to be in line with having what we want so that we can get more of that. But if you're feeling whole, you'll receive more things to provide wholeness. If you're feeling empty, you'll receive more things to provide emptiness. This is why a lot of people that put all of their attention on other people looking for validation tend to be validated the least, because they're not in a state of having that validation. Sorry, hang on, I messed up what I was saying because I sort of read a comment. So the people that tend to look externally the most for validations and stuff tend to receive it the least, because they're not in a state of having that internal validation, which is why they're looking for it externally. Once you start providing it for yourself, you'll realize that other people start giving it to you the most. Therefore, if you can provide yourself the feelings of this relationship now, you will experience the outcome of that relationship in a much sort of sooner fashion. And then you say, constant communication apps is not helping me, so I sometimes check my phone as well. Go straight to the end result then. If you're not feeling comfortable with the communication ones, go to the end result of, loving relationship. Lucas says, yes, that's what I meant. Thank you. You're very welcome. I hope it helped. And then Marceline says, do you post videos that aren't quick fix videos, like manifest your SP now on your membership? Yeah, I'll read you guys out a couple of lists of them, because I realize I always sort of say, exclusive videos, but I actually don't ever really say what the exclusive videos are, mainly just because I don't want to spend too long kind of keeping your attention all based on the membership that most of you aren't even set up to. So the most recent manifestation one, because there's two tiers, there's manifestation and self-improvement, is go after the experience, in which I talk about how I think that going after experiences over specifics can benefit you, because it brings more enjoyment, excitement, sort of random things in. Why we react badly and how to stop it. That was a really in-depth video on techniques that you can utilize to stop your reactions, and actually giving you deeper insights into why you react in the first place. Well, there was one where I just answered your questions. Sorry, there was other ones. I'm trying to sift through the self-improvement ones, which I'll go into in a second. Affirmations rampage and how I do it. Application over consumption, which is talking about, how to, it gave you techniques on how you can actually utilize the stuff that you're learning in videos to make it more impactful. How self-improvement leveled up my manifestation. There was even one when I went into detail about my own personal experience, where I did kind of let myself spiral a bit, and how I pulled myself out when it came to money. That was actually a recent experience as well. So this is sort of me letting you guys know a little bit more of my recent life, what helped me release attachment when I was manifesting my specific person, which is obviously sat here right now. So from the manifestation perspective, none of it really is quick fix. There is one where I talk about how I manifested text 100% of the time, but this was just more of like a story time thing that you could learn from if you wanted to. But none of it is quick fix, get a text in 24 hours. I try to actually give you guys in-depth stuff. And for the self-improvement stuff, is more 3D stuff, like I work less but earn more. Here's how. 6 habits to change your life. Effortless method to accomplish everything. Find your purpose to live and a life of find your purpose to live a life of fulfillment. Embrace rejection and build resilience. So none of my stuff is quick fix on YouTube and on the membership. I tried to make it so that when you guys watch my videos, hopefully you'll walk away with an understanding, so that you don't need to ever come back. Not because I don't want you back, but just because that's me doing my job properly. Hopefully that gives you some ideas, and I highly recommend you join the membership, because you get all the videos as well as free worksheets, free planners, and all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, so I'm just going to read I have to pretty much read the video. I can't leave her out now. That just dip after that one. So we got Bristy says, thank you, Matt. I love your videos and it helps me a lot. Thanks for doing the live today. It really feels me good by interacting with you. You're very welcome. I'm happy to help. And we do try to do the lives once a week, but we've been sort of really busy lately, which is why we haven't. But we do try to get on here as much as we can. But thank you very much for the kind words. Divya says, hi, so my SP hasn't called after he said he'll call back, and I keep spiraling that he isn't interested in me anymore and he likes the other girl better than me, who does everything for him he wants. How do I change the concept of him changing? Because when We talked last time. He was just not ready to be with me. Change what you assume to be true. Make use of any kind of techniques that you can to bring yourself back to a more neutral or even positive headspace. Breath work is a really great way to do that if you wanted to utilize that. Get yourself to a more neutral headspace and then consider, what do I want to be true instead? How do I want him to act? How do I want him to see me? How do I want to see myself? How do I want this relationship to be? And then place your focus on that being true right now. And it's a consistent place of redirection. So if you're saying that, for example, she does everything he wants her to do, everything he wants her to do. Yeah. If you're saying essentially that the other person is doing everything that he wants them to do, start changing it to, I do everything he desires me to do. And that's why he's in this relationship with me. Start claiming it to be the way that you want it to be. Take your attention away from that third party and put it on how amazing and valuable you are to him, how you're in the relationship with him, which is why he values you so much, and those kinds of things. But it all starts with getting yourself to a more neutral headspace. Like I said, I recommend breath work. However, there are many ways of doing so. But get yourself to a more neutral headspace, then decide what you want to be true about him, about you, and about this relationship, and start placing your focus on that. I hope that helps. Thank you guys all so much for showing up to today's live stream. Again, apologies, we haven't done it for a couple of weeks, but we should hopefully be being consistent from here going forward. If you guys are in need of any of my help on a more one-to-one basis, and I can actually help you dig deeper on your situation, by all means, check out my website, which will be in the description of this or in the description of any other video that I post. I do highly recommend you guys sign up for the membership just because there's some great content over there. Free worksheets, free planner, free routine, an ebook coming out very soon, and there's constantly stuff that's going to be added to it as time goes on. And it's only £6 per month for the smallest tier, or £10 per month, which gives you basically everything that I have to offer, including discounts for working with me. So it actually does work out cheaper to sign up for the membership and then come to me for coaching because of the discounts that you get. So I highly recommend you check out the membership, and that is linked in the description of this live stream and in the description or comment section of any other video. So thank you all so much for showing up today, and I hope you have a very good rest of your days, and we will catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.